Well, good morning and a very warm welcome back to another week on my allotment. I say warm welcome, it's blooming freezing up here. It was -2 on my van thermometer as I drove up this morning in the dark. Beautiful clear sky, stars were out, got the fire on, slowly the shed thawed out and warmed up. I'm on my second brew. Anyway, it's a stunning day. However, I'm not going to be doing any work up here today of any significance. We go off to my daughter and son-in-law's this morning, and we're staying overnight. And by the time you are watching this, my wife will be down with my daughter for 2 weeks. Hence the little heading on my thumbnail, if anybody reads them, that my wife has left me. She's left me for 2 weeks. I mean, she should have left me long ago. It's amazing how she stayed with me. It's our 40th wedding anniversary next year. That's unbelievable. Anyway, I digress. So I'm up here today really just to film this, because if I hadn't filmed this and posted this, I shall post this, I guess, Tuesday, I'm not sure. Then it would have been 3 weeks till I post again, because I won't be up here for a full day until next weekend. So yeah, I've got 2 weeks without my wife at home. I don't think we've ever had that before. She has been frantically cooking and freezing meals for me, because I think she thinks I'm going to completely crumble, and I don't think she's wrong. It's going to be interesting having the house to myself for 2 weeks. I think she's quite frightened about it. Anyway, welcome along to the plot. Yeah, it's -2. The water butts have got a very light film of ice on them. The plot is frozen, so there's nothing to be done up here. But there's a couple of things I wanted to show you, and we'll start up by the shed. Right, so up at the shed, I've been busy. We had about, I don't know, 2 or 3 weeks of diabolical weather. It rained hard. You saw the plot. It was fairly wet, soggy, still is actually. But this week we've had glorious weather. It's been dry, sunny most days, barely a breath of wind. There's no real wind to speak of now. So I've had a good week at work, and when I get up here, because of course my work is slowing up now, I'm a self-employed gardener, and the grass cutting has stopped. I've got a few hedges to do, but I won't be doing them while these cold temperatures are around. So yeah, work is slowing up, which I like, and I get more time up here. So you've probably guessed by now what this is when you think about the subjects I've been talking about in my last couple of videos. I've got 5 of these buckets with lids off Amazon, and I've had some scrap wood lying about, and I've made this. Obviously it's not finished yet. So the bucket goes inside, you take the lid off, there'll be a hole cut in here, and there'll be a toilet seat. This is my composting toilet. And the beauty of this system, well, obviously once the bucket is full, you take the bucket out, you put the lid on, and you put it away, out the way for a year. Or I may just put it into a dedicated human manure compost heap. I haven't decided yet. But yeah, this will need hinges, and the beauty of this is that if I should leave this allotment at some point in the future, this can come with me. You know, you wouldn't want to be without a toilet, would you? So I've got a little bit more work to do, and when I've completely finished it, hopefully by next weekend, we'll see, I'll show you the final product. as the sun comes up on what looks to be a glorious Saturday morning, let's have a look at the plot as it stands as we move towards December and the winter. I've got a few leeks left. I think most of them have bolted. I've spoke to Cheryl, and while she's away I'm going to dig those out when the ground is a bit more workable, and then I can process them, chop them up and freeze them in any available freezer space we've got, so that bed can be sorted soon. Over this side the fig is losing its leaves. I've taken off all the tiny figs that were on it. My mum's raspberries are dug in. Hopefully they've managed to get established before these cold temperatures. Not a lot else happening. I've left the shower screen over those 3 tubs of carrots that I was sowing as an experiment. I'm not sure they'll survive through this, we'll see. Never grown carrots this late in the year. Yes, so as we move up, I obtained another blue barrel. It was in a skip at the garden centre, and it had AdBlue in it, which I believe is non-toxic, so I'm busy washing it out, and I shall have another barrel to go with the 20 odd that I've got on the plot, because you can't collect enough rainwater. Now, the big thing to tell you that I've been doing this week is you will see these, although the ground is frozen, these nicely turned, rich, dark brown beds. I'm rather pleased with the way they look. Now, these beds were deep in water a few days ago, but they, due to the beautiful weather we've had in the past week, they dried out a little. And I did what I've done in previous years. I dug out the soil, and my compost bays were full of partially decomposed compost material, and I'm going to talk more about that in a moment. So I've dug it all out the compost bays, I've put it into these beds, and then I've dragged the soil back over, which has raised these beds considerably, not to mention obviously improving the soil. Now, I know that digging soil is not a good thing nowadays. The fashions have changed, and I completely get that, and I've said to you in the past I aspire to be no dig, but I have got to improve my compost if I'm going to do that. I couldn't top dress with the stuff I had. It just wasn't rotted down enough. So it's been a busy week. It's physical hard work. The ground was sodden, but I got it done, and you can see on this bed I've got to that stage there. I got to there yesterday afternoon in what was a glorious warm day, and it'll have to wait now while these cold temperatures are around. I've weeded, hoed and sorted the strawberries. This green manure, I know I mustn't let it flower, so at some point, and I'm not quite sure when, if anyone has any experience of green manures, and I can't tell you what this plant is, please let me know in the comments. But I think at some point in December maybe, I'm just going to take the shears to it and let it drop to the soil and leave it to break down as a sort of a top dressing. That's my plan. If you know better, please educate me. Yeah, as we move up the plot, I've got one bed of garlic. I've still got lots more garlic in pots, but the bed they've got to go in is down the bottom where I've just come from, and when we get more rain, which of course we will, those beds may become waterlogged, so I'm leaving what garlic hasn't gone in the ground in the pots for the time being. The onions are doing okay. Hopefully they're not affected too much by these cold temperatures. Yeah, and everything else is fine. I've top dressed the blueberries with ericaceous compost. I went out and bought a bag of ericaceous compost. I don't like spending money. I prefer to do it and make it myself up here, but I think the ericaceous compost is a good investment when it comes to blueberries, because we do like our blueberries, and they are a high cost item which is worth growing on any allotment. The flowers are pretty much done now, but I'm going to leave this bed so that the seeds drop. These mallows, the seed, in fact I can tell the seeds have all, oh no, yeah, the seeds, there's some seeds there. So I'm hoping that although this was a seed packet and they're annuals, I'm hoping they may come back next year if enough seed drops. We shall see. So that's as it stands. I've no idea what the date is. Not thick ice, but it is ice. And that water's freezing. So that's as it stands at the moment. So, compost. Yes, compost. I've been growing fruits and vegetables on this allotment for about 8 years. I think it's 8 years, 7 or 8. 2017 March we got this allotment. That maths is too complicated for me. So yeah, I've been growing fruits and vegetables a while now. Now of course some people grow fruits and vegetables for 30, 40 years or more. So in the grand scheme of things, I'm not that experienced, but I do consider myself fairly competent now. I produce enough fruits and vegetables to keep Cheryl and I fairly self-sufficient. There's a few things we have to buy, but we do very well. So the reason I say that is there's a couple of things I would say that I have not yet mastered. One is the art of watering. You know, holding back and not watering stuff is really difficult, and I haven't mastered that yet. And the second thing is compost. Now, I've been through all sorts of different manifestations of composting. I had a bay at one point that I threw everything in before it went into the heaps, and I would run my lawnmower over it. But that lawnmower is the mower I use in people's gardens, and I didn't want to keep using it for that, because it wouldn't get as good a cut as I like. So I stopped doing that. Then I used a tub and I put stuff in, and I used the shears, but that's hard work and I stopped doing it. Basically, it's a bit like a New Year's resolution. Every year I say, right, this year I'm going to get it right. And then a month or two into it, I think, oh, I'll just chuck it in the heap. So when the runner bean plants, which are quite woody by the time they finish, I take those off their structure and I just chuck the whole lot in the compost bay. Now, of course, eventually, if I left it for 3 years, maybe 2 or 3 years, eventually everything, as long as it's organic matter, will break down and make beautiful, fine, crumbly compost. But I need it quicker than that. And when I dug all that stuff out and dug it into the beds, it was really quite lumpy. There were still some onions in there that hadn't broken down, some beetroot that hadn't broken down, all sorts of matter that you can identify. So it's a long-winded way of saying it. I have got to start improving the way I create my compost heaps and be far more proactive. So at the moment I've emptied all the partially composted bays, and I have 3 bays that are active at the moment. 2 of them, why am I holding up 5 fingers? 2 of them have leaf mould in, and it's not really leaf mould yet. It's autumn now, and I'm busy filling them as I get leaves from people's gardens. So I'm creating 2 bays of leaf mould, and that'll be ready in a year's time. I have 1 active bay that is currently a working bay, and I've started that process. So everything that I've put in there so far, I have chopped up as much as I can. I've put a couple of bags of leaves in. I've brought some wheelbarrows fulls of the fine chippings that are up there, and I've put that in, and I turn it with a fork, and everything I've put in there that's come off the allotment in the last couple of 3 weeks, which hasn't been a lot, I've chopped with the shears. So I've made a start. But composting, it's not a complicated, it's not a difficult subject, but it does involve dedicating yourself, applying yourself, and being disciplined. And I need to work on that. So watch this space. I'd be interested in anybody else's approach. What do you do? And are you good at it? Or are you like me? You aspire to be good at it, but you haven't quite got there yet. Anyway, I'd be appreciative of any comments and any advice you can give me. Compost. Oh, I tell you what, this is the only place to be. It's lovely in here. Even with the double doors open, the heat seems to stay in here. Anyway, as I get older and hopefully a little bit more wise, I realise that through life, things we are told are not necessarily so. And of course you will be aware, if you've been with me for a while, about the health stuff. I remember watching the documentary that informed me that milk and dairy contribute in a huge way to the destruction of our bones. And I can remember thinking, no, that's not right. Milk builds strong bones. We're told that, aren't we? Well, of course, it's marketing. And that's not what I'm talking about, so you can go and look that up. But yeah, dairy destroys our bones. Dairy is acidic, and to buffer the dairy that we consume, we need to stay alkaline in our bodies. The body takes calcium from the skeleton to buffer the acidity of dairy. And over your lifetime, with all the dairy you consume, your body's continually taking... anyway, you can look that up. But I saw something this week about George Floyd, the American guy who was allegedly killed by a police officer. And there are 4 police officers currently serving jail terms for his death. And I was vaguely aware of it. It was in America. I wasn't particularly interested. But, it was a big thing at the time. And I was mildly aware of it. And my impression of it was that we were told he was killed by police officers by putting their knee on his neck, and he couldn't breathe, and he died. Turns out that's not true. It's astonishing. Anyway, the documentary is called The Fall of Minneapolis. I didn't even know that it happened in Minneapolis. I don't know anything about the city. Anyway, yeah, if you type in thefallofminneapolis.com, you come to a documentary. I think it's about an hour and a half long. It was truly shocking, the corruptness of the system against the police officers. If you're interested, you'll watch it. If you're not, you'll pass it by. But just to give you one little insight, and then I won't tell you any more in case you do want to watch it. George Floyd died of a drug overdose. He did not die of asphyxiation. When his post-mortem was done, there wasn't even a single bruise on his neck. And there was no sign of asphyxiation. He died of a drug overdose. Drugs he took himself. In fact, on the police officer's chest cameras, he's in his car and he won't get out, and you can see him eating the drugs to try and conceal them so the police officers wouldn't find them. I mean, he was an out and out criminal. Anyway, I'll say no more on it, but I found it fascinating, and so will you if you, like me, believed foolishly what the mainstream media told us. Anyway, fascinating. Never believe what you're told. Never. Unless it's by your parents, obviously. Well, I've enjoyed this morning. I was up here earlier than I needed to be. I was rather hoping it was going to be a spectacular sunrise. We've had a couple this week because the weather's been so nice, and one of our bedroom windows looks out over that Severn estuary, and the sunrises we've had this week have been stunning. This morning wasn't quite up to par, but it was lovely nevertheless. And I haven't done a single thing on the plot. I've mooched about and I've drunk lots of coffee, and that's about it. But you know, sometimes you just have to let the weather take its course. So thank you for joining me. Thanks to all those who've subscribed. Thanks to all those who take the time to leave a comment. I always enjoy reading them and replying to them. I will be around next weekend. Not sure what state I shall be in after a week without my wife keeping an eye on me. It's only once she's ready to go that you realise, blimey, she does everything in the house. I'm a grown man, you think I'll be able to look after myself. We shall see. I shall let you know how the progress is going next weekend. So thanks for joining me, and I shall see you next weekend. Until then, look after yourselves like I've got to. Take care. Bye for now.